What's going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday to everyone. Hopefully, everyone is doing well, staying safe, healthy. If you had to take a COVID test, hopefully you have tested negative. If you did test positive, I hope you have a full and speedy recovery with no long COVID issues. It is time now for the Tuesday edition of the Pandemic Update for Tuesday, January 30th, 2024. If you're new to my channel, this is where we do the daily pandemic update on, yes, COVID, but we also talk about other viruses that could be a threat to your health as well. If this is something you want to see daily to help keep yourself informed and prepared for what's ongoing out there in the wild, then by all means give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below and share this with anyone who needs to see it. All right, starting off today, we do have several news items. We have Walgreens data, which we did not get to yesterday, and we do have a bit of a surprise of a concern ongoing in the part of the United States. Actually, I shouldn't say ongoing. It's just starting to crop up now in parts of the United States. We'll get to all this in today's update. Starting off down in Georgia, I believe this is in Georgia. Payne College campus closed due to COVID-19 outbreak. This is not a major college. It's not big at all. They only have something just over 300 students at this college, but out of abundance of caution, they are closing in-person classes because there is a COVID outbreak going there and they don't want it to spread to any more people. All staff have to be tested, and I'm seeing here it does say 309 students. So no, this is not a big college, but hey, they are taking this seriously, and all interest, safety, faculty, and staff may return to campus to be tested at 12 noon. I believe this was on Monday. Then we come over to this now. This is rather interesting. Dennis, the COVID guy, tweeted out this story. France, people are being urged to wear face masks in confined public spaces as part of a new campaign to protect France's 300,000 vulnerable and immunocompromised people from COVID-19 and other respiratory infections. Thank you, France. Why can't we do this in the rest of the world? This should be everywhere. And here in the United States, the CDC should be saying, hey, please, if you're in a crowded setting, please mask up. If you're in a public setting, in a big indoor setting, please mask up. No, instead, we get the CDC the other day showing off their Have Fun at Work Day. The CDC had a band come in. They were having a little party at work. I mean, come on. We need to do what France is doing. This is fantastic that they are urging people to do this again. All right, moving on to this. Remember that mystery dog illness that was spreading in the U.S.? Well, it's spreading to more states now. States like Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Vermont, Washington State, Oregon, Nevada, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Maryland, Indiana. On and on it goes. There's a tweet that I tweeted out the story, but the point I'm trying to make here about this story is that unfortunately it's still out there and it has now spread to more states. If you want to see the tweet, go to my Twitter at COVID Data Report and you will see this story, and you can see if your state makes the list. Hey, keep your dogs and pets safe. All right, first, penguins die in Antarctica of deadly H5N1 bird flu strain. This is not good. H5N1 is now impacting penguins down in Antarctica. I mean, look at these beautiful creatures. And now the bird flu has hit them, and unfortunately, they're starting to die. This is not good. With confirmed or suspected cases in 2 Antarctic penguins species, researchers fear highly contagious virus could rip through colonies. Yikes! It's something we're going to keep on from time to time. We do talk about news, including the H5N1. See, we're not all about COVID here. We're talking about other viruses as well that not only impact humans, but hey, animals. Animals get impacted by viruses and infected by viruses as well. All right, if you did not see yesterday's update, there was a key takeaway, and that was from B&O. And last week, there was another 2,575 COVID deaths in the United States, and there also was another 2,000 influenza deaths. You know the deal. That's over 4,575 deaths just from COVID and flu in 1 week. That is so darn many deaths, and it is just far too many deaths. All right. Switching gears here for a minute, let's take a look at what's going on with today's air quality values across the U.S. I have to refresh this. Hopefully it does come up. This page has been relatively slow for me today, but mind you, I have a million tabs open right now because we run two different channels. All right, speaking of that other channel, we'll talk about that in a minute. Taking a look here at air qualities, and you can see here air qualities across the upper Midwest. Yeah, they're kind of moderate at this point. Not terrible, not red, but they're moderate at this point. They could be better. And mind you, there is a storm system that's going through that area, a clipper system with some light precipitation. The West Coast in Central California, take a look at this. There is some bad air qualities. Remember, it's still fireplace season. Salt Lake City, Utah, you're seeing some bad air quality at this time. And the Pacific Northwest, just a couple moderate areas. Not terrible at this point in time. And Florida, we haven't talked about you in a while. Few moderate areas for you right now. If you want to learn more about climate and weather, I do have another channel where you can do just that at Climate Data Report, where we did do today's video. And there's going to be a couple major storms impacting the West Coast. One of them is going to transfer its energy down into the southeast U.S. and generate something off of the southeast coast. All of them are going to have significant impacts with flooding expected in California. More on that on my other channel in today's video. There will be a link down below to my other channel at Climate Data Report for all things weather and climate. All right, here we go. Spoiler alert. I've talked about this earlier. Now I'm going to spill the beans. Here you go. So while things are dropping in the majority of the country, that's not the case in the West Coast region anymore. First off, things continue to drop in wastewater on biobot in the Northeast states, in the southern states, although the southern states have slowed a bit, and the northern Midwest, that has slowed its drop as well. But now we see what's going on the West Coast. Take a look at this here. There's a little bit of a rise in wastewater. Now, there's multiple reasons that could be happening. And when I switch this to the 6-week view, you see it there as well. There's a couple of reasons why that may be happening. The West Coast did not get hit with a big JN.1 wave at this. They just didn't. Their wave was... things rose, but it wasn't massive compared to what happened in the Northeast, the Southeast, or even up in the Midwest. Now that is starting to maybe come in play, which it really wasn't expected to. Maybe Oregon, because Oregon didn't have much of anything go on. But now you're going to see here, when we go to Walgreens, you're going to see some red in the West Coast. Let's switch over to Walgreens. Here we go. Let's do nationally first. National positivity trend, 27.2% COVID positivity. The prior week is 28.7%. That's a difference of down 1.5%. But take a look at this. You're seeing something relatively interesting, and at least for me, I consider this to be unexpected because, like we have said, the holidays are over. So the urgency to go out and get tested, it's over with. I mean, people aren't going to meet up and gather right now, so they don't want to test ahead of time. Well, despite that, testing actually went up this week. I totally was not expecting this. 25,810 tests conducted at Walgreens. The prior week was 22,750. There's a reason for this. There are some states that are starting to rise now, and they're not all in the West. A couple of them are in the East, and some of these states that are rising do have an increase in testing. Let's talk about the West Coast first, though, because I just set you up for what's happening there now with wastewater. Well, we might as well show you what's happening there on Walgreens. Washington State. Yikes. Yeah, this is not good. Current week's positivity, 41.3%. Let's zoom in the chart. Look at that on the chart. It's literally starting to go vertical, straight upward now. The prior week was 24.8%. That's a difference of up 16.5%. That is a huge increase, my friends. Bigger than anyone expected. Yes, I get it. They didn't really have much of a JN.1 wave, but 16.5% post-holidays, yeah, that's not good. Testing went up as well. 351 versus 314. Let's go to the next state south of you. Look what's going on in Oregon. Ooh, yeah, a big increase in Oregon. 44.4% positivity versus 28.2%. That is up 16.2%. 45 tests versus 39. Now, that's not a big increase in testing. And again, when we go back to the national number, I suggested here there's over 3,000 increase in testing. Well, there's other states that increase in testing as well and do have increasing cases. Though be it not a big increase in testing. Alaska, your positivity is rising as well. 36.8%. The prior week was 25%, and as you can see here, that's up 11.8% total test. 38 versus 32. So you can see the West Coast states are starting to see an increase. Not all of them, though. Nevada, for example, positivity dropped 11%. It's actually a significant drop, 32.1% versus 43.2%. That's down 11%. Testing is down there as well. California is also seeing a drop, 29.2% versus 33.8%. That's a difference of down 4.6%. Total tests, 626 versus 769. Then when we come east a little bit, we start to see there are rises in other places. Kansas, you're starting to rise. Remember, Kansas, you probably had a lot of celebrations going on. Why? Because, well, Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl once again. So Kansas and maybe portions of Missouri as well. There's reasons for celebration, but nonetheless, Kansas is rising again. It's something we have to watch. JN.1, the amount of time between reinfections with a lot of these newer variants, it's getting shorter. We're hearing about people getting COVID and then 3 months later getting COVID again. It's becoming a thing, and it's starting to become a bigger thing. And maybe that's part of the reason why things are rising again in some areas. Because I'm going to show you more states that are rising. Kansas, 28.7% versus 25.7%. It's up 2.9%. Total test, 164 versus 140. How about Wisconsin? Look at this. Now, this is a bit of a bigger testing difference. So positivity is 30.7%. Prior week was 27.5%. Difference of up 3.1%. Total test, 424 versus 385. So yes, add all these states up that have testing increases. It does show you why there is an increase by 3,000. Going back to BioBot for a second, you can see when we go back to the 6 month, the drop, while it's still occurring in the Great Lakes Midwest region, it slowed a little bit. And one of those reasons is Wisconsin, with what's going on there. Now we have to go down to the south. The south also slowed with this drop. Why? Look at Mississippi here. Mississippi's positivity rate, it did go up 25% this week versus 16.3%. That's a difference of up 8.7%. Total tests, 112 versus 98. And just a friendly reminder here, I should have said this in the beginning. Any of these states that have positivity up with testing up at the states at the same time, that does indicate that, yes, your cases may be starting to rise somewhere within your state. Maybe it's the city, maybe it's in a rural area. Somewhere is causing there to be an increase in cases at this time. And we have seen random wastewater sites around the country where this is happening. Georgia, your positivity is up. Look at this. 26.1% versus 25%. Difference of up 1.1%. And testing, it's up a good bit. 1,557 versus 1,286. We don't know if this is Atlanta area, Augusta, somewhere in Georgia is causing things to start to rise again. And it's just at the beginning. We'll have to watch and see if that continues again next week. Your next door neighbors in South Carolina, well, they're starting to see a rise as well. 25.9% versus 24.5%. Difference of up 1.5%. 833 tests versus 691. West Virginia. Hey, look at this. Now, this is a different rise. Your testing is down significantly. 55 versus 70, which caused the positivity to rise 2.2%. But then we come to Vermont. And Vermont, it kind of does a thing of its own. Look at the chart here. It does a lot of up, down, but your positivity did go up a significant amount. 20% versus 13.3%. It's up 6.7%. 20 tests versus 15. I suspect it's going to drop next week. If you look at the tail end here, you can already see it's showing signs of dropping. And let's take a look at a place where positivity did drop. Pennsylvania, 26% versus 30.7%. Difference of down 4.7%, 231 tests versus 241. But again, take a look at the very end of the chart. signs that maybe Pennsylvania's going to start to turn and rise. It's just not good to see states like this starting to rise. It goes against what modeling suggests. And of course, if we see a surprise rise between now and spring, that would be a very bad sign for what's going to happen in the rest of the year. All right, moving on. Let's skip over to CDC data. Actually, no. Let's give you the latest variant proportion. We do know JN.1 is at 85.7%. Well ahead of HV.1, which is at 5.3%. We will get new variant data on Friday in Philadelphia. 718 EMS incidents were reported on Monday, and I want to show you something real quickly. Remember when there were higher EMS incidents? Well, here's what the emissions were, weekly emissions. Yeah, back as we get into the end of last year, they were just in 20 emissions a week. I'm not buying that whatsoever. There were days where there were upper 700s and days well over 800 calls in a day. I'm sorry. There were probably likely more COVID emissions than what we knew about. And just in the past week, in January 24th, the week of January 24th, 2 COVID emissions in 1 week. Yeah, they're not testing enough for COVID. That's the point I'm trying to mention here. Take a look at what's going on in the suburbs of Montgomery County. And wow, speaking of not testing enough for COVID, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 respiratory emergencies. We haven't seen that many at once in a few weeks. Bad indication. Remember, there's some random places starting to rise again. We're seeing vomiting. We're seeing a lot of calls here right now for 5:50 at night. 15 calls. That's not good. And again, remember, it's not the volume of calls; it's the type of calls. Chester County, respiratory difficulty, heart problems, hemorrhaging, emotional disorder, heart problems. Right before when I came on, the reason why I just said the volume, the type of calls, because right before I came on, they actually had 5 heart problems at once, which that's pretty bad if you ask me. All right, moving on here, we have to take a look at New Jersey. 980 hospitalizations in New Jersey. 3 hospitals did not report. Actually, no, 4 hospitals did not report. 66 out of 70. 38 people on a ventilator. Still 126 people in the hospital. And when we take a look at discharges, 88 discharges. So not as many discharges. Taking a look at New York State, cases continue to drop. But if we zoom this in, can we zoom this in? Is it going to be friendly or is it going to refresh on us? Yes, it's still dropping. It's not dropping as fast. The drop has slowed off just a little bit. But again, 1,976 cases added. Significant undercount. These at-home tests, these things right here. I always have them sitting near me, or a box of what they look like. These lovely at-home tests are not included in the numbers in New York State, or at least not enough of them are. And some people don't bother to test at all. Take a look at hospitalizations in New York State. Pretty much flat over the most recent update, which indicates they're going to continue to drop. We'll have to see how quickly they drop. 2,286 people in the hospital. Let's take a look at New York State real quickly, New York City real quickly, because something different happened there. It was 994 on the 26th. They actually did rise ever so slightly to 1,005. I suspect it will go down again tomorrow, but it's something to look at. It's just a one-day thing. Obviously, we always keep an eye on any type of an increase or decrease because, we're seeing what's going on in other states where there are these surprise rises. Georgia being a big surprise in today's update, and as is Mississippi, which is probably why we're seeing the South on wastewater, once again, slowing off a little bit. Alrighty, folks, that does it for today's pandemic update. We'll have another pandemic update again tomorrow. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel down below if you want to continue following me and you want to keep safe, or if you want to keep other people safe. Share this on social media, Reddit, wherever you talk about whatever it is you talk about online. Suggest this, recommend this, and, share these. I want to get this channel up to 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. That's my goal. If I can do that, that's telling me I am informing more people and keeping more people aware of what's going on. Alright, I'll see you guys all again next time. Until I see you again next time, stay safe, everyone, and have a fantastic Tuesday evening.